Hey everyone, welcome back. Okay, in this section we're multiplying rational numbers, which means fractions and decimals. I'm going to do this over a couple of sections, so I can handle fractions, mixed numbers, and decimals as well. Let's start with fractions. When you're multiplying fractions, it's important to remember that all multiplying looks basically the same. Basically, multiplying is just rectangles. You'll notice that on the top side here I have 5 blocks going across, and down the side I have 4 blocks. And that's how we can say that 5 times 4 is 20. Because if you look inside here, you can count them all up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 blocks inside this rectangle. And that's all we're saying when we do a multiplication problem. Let's see what that means with a fraction. Do you know what fraction this is? 3/5. And what if we multiplied it by down the side, which is 1/2? Well, how do we multiply this? What you're going to notice is that we have a double shaded area here, and that's going to be an important area. And we have the total area. That's going to be the other important area. Let's show you. So what we have here is 3/5 times 1/2. Have figured out which is which? This right here, the double shaded area, is the numerator, 3 times 1. And this big area, well, that's the denominator, 5 times 2. And that's how we call 3/10 is our answer here, because wherever we have the double shaded area, that's the answer to your fraction multiplication problem. Let me show you another one. Here's 5/7. Here's 3/8. Where is it double shaded? Right here. Notice that that's 5 times 3. And what is the big area? Well, that is 8 times 7. And that's how you get the answer, 15/56. So what's the basic rule you learn here? When you're multiplying fractions, you just multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. Do you notice how you don't have to have a common denominator? That's an adding and subtracting rule. So if you multiply it straight across, you get 15/56. And you're done. It's that easy. All right. The one thing that gets people is you always have to make sure to simplify your numerators and denominators if you can. So, in this situation, I can multiply straight across. I get 35/90. That's a good answer. The only problem is, it's not simplified. I have to divide by 5 and divide by 5, and I get my true answer of 7/18. You'll notice that you can simplify before you multiply. It's a very common saying in class, simplify before you multiply. It even rhymes. And now when I multiply the numerators, 1/7 is 7, and 9 times 2 is 18. Notice I get the exact same answer. I always like to say to simplify before you multiply makes the problem easier, because smaller numbers are easier to multiply and divide than larger ones. You'll see how that works in a little bit on a couple of these examples. Notice the situation. If I were to multiply 5 times 27, I'd have 100 and something. If I multiplied 18 times 35, I'd have 600 and something, I think. I'd hate to have to simplify that fraction. So if I simplify ahead of time, you'll notice that I make the problem a whole lot easier. Because now I just have to multiply 1 times 3 and 2 times 7. And I get 3/14. Easy peasy, quick and easy. I know a lot of people like to use prime factorization in this method. So if you break apart the 18, you'll notice that 18 is 2 times 3, which is 6, and 6 times 3 is 18. So you can do what's called prime factorization, or decomposing the number. And once you do that, now you can just find all your matches. Same numerator, same denominator equals 1, same numerator, same denominator equals 1, and same numerator, same denominator equals 1. What are we left with? 1 times 3, which is 3, and 2 times 7, which is 14. Same answer. This chapter is going to be about multiplying positive and negative rational numbers, though. So notice we have some negative numbers here. If I were to simplify this and divide by 12 and divide by 12, I'd end up getting -2 and -3. 5 times -2 is +10, and is -10, and 7 times -3 is -21. Negative divided by negative would get you positive 10/21. So just make sure you realize negative divided by negative does get you positive. What if I just multiplied straight across? Well, once again, watch how big these numbers are. Do you want to simplify that? You might know you can divide both of them by 12, but not too many people know 12 is up to 252. So I always find it easier to simplify first, although you would get the same answer if you knew that. And once again, if you wanted to decompose, you could do that. Look at all the things that line up. Negative divided by negative is again positive, and 5 times 2 and 7 times 3 get you your answer. This is also a trick that will benefit you when you get up into the higher algebra levels. All right, try this one on your own. Solve it any way you want. There's going to be 3 methods shown. Okay, ready? If I divide by 3 and divide by 3, I can simplify them and get 1 and 6. Now I can just multiply straight across, and I get 1 times 5, and I get negative 8 times negative 6. So one negative sign means the answer is going to be negative 5/48. What if I multiplied straight across? Once again, I'm just going to have some big numbers here. And are you going to know that you can divide 144 by 3? Some will, some won't. But it just makes it that much trickier. Always simplify before you multiply. And lastly, what if you decomposed it? In this situation, you'd have to decompose it and then put an awful lot of things back together again. But if you did it properly, you would get the exact same answer. All right, this is multiplying positive and negative fractions. Hopefully you notice that the exact same rules for positive and negatives were used in Chapter 1, work here in Chapter number 2 as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day.